tonight, but
Video in a second.
copy me on that, whatever's going around, so I can see what's
You
going on.
got it, resume recording, and we are good to go.
Excellent. Could we please call the meeting to order, Sam?
Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by transmitting the meeting notice to the official newspaper, providing a copy of the agenda to the newspapers, and posting a copy of the agenda at Borough Hall.
Could I have a roll call, please?
Dwyer,
Here.
Dougherty, Bird, D'Adrio,
Here.
Meyer,
Here.
Ready, here, Tomco,
Here.
Branson,
Here.
Kaplan,
Here.
Demblicker,
Here.
Eckel.
Here. As previously noted, Jean Herb could not make it this evening. Could we have an approval of the minutes of the regular meeting minutes of the March 25th, 2026 meeting? Are there any comments or corrections to the minutes as
Yeah,
presented?
Chair, I was not here, so I need to be noted as absent.
That would make sense. Any other corrections? Hearing none, could I have a motion to adopt the minutes with that amendment?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second from Jacob. There's no further discussion. Could I have a vote, please?
Dwyer,
Yes.
D'Adrio,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes. Or abstain.
Ready, yes, Tomco,
Yes.
Branson.
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Demblicker,
Yes.
Eckel.
Yes. Item 4 on the agenda is public comments, but seeing that we have no one here this evening, I will open and close the public comment portion and move on to old business. First thing is the affordable housing update. Just where we are in the process of getting all our ducks in a row.
I am pleased to report that you are my first signed consent order. We are not, but it's not a final consent order.
But it's signed.
But it's signed and it outlines a short to-do list that Fair Share Housing Center would like, want, mandate, require, to be done. Some of them are Fair Share Housing Center being particular. So one, we have to amend our spending plan, so that's a governing body action that does not involve the planning board. The second and fourth items, they want amendments to the housing plan, which I am extremely upset about because that requires a public hearing, etc. They said it could be done as an amendment, not redoing the full housing plan, which is fine. It just means you have to keep it with the housing plan. One of the text items is discussing the relationship of the newly adopted housing plan, the housing plan to the newly adopted state plan. I will tell you, I did not discuss the relationship in any of my towns. However, after your consent order was signed, they signed another one of my town's consent orders as final, nothing to do. And I did not discuss the state plan in that town's housing plan. So I'm a little frustrated that they're inconsistent.
Fair.
So we have to do that. And then also there is text that where we stated the facts and they just don't want the facts in there. And so they want certain things removed. So we have to do an amendment to the housing plan. So I've already spoken with Mr. Cruz. He would like that done as soon as possible. It requires a public hearing. So the goal would be to have that on the May agenda, if the agenda so allows.
So that would be the public hearing.
Correct. So I would have to have that document done 10 days prior because it has to be here on file 10 days prior pursuant to the municipal land use law.
Okay,
And then once we submit those final items, then we would receive our final compliance certification and we would be done until the midpoint review in 2030.
there we go. All right. The road continues. Sam, make sure we have a note of that, to put that on the May agenda. And hopefully we can get all our ducks in a row for that and keep moving forward.
Yes.
But thank you for all your hard work on this.
You're
I know that there's been, some parts of it have been frustrating. Not just for Frenchtown, but
Yes,
for all your
well,
municipalities.
Comparatively, I would tell you, I have two towns that are still embroiled in litigation. Once there was litigation on whether or not their number is what the court has determined. And I have another where our neighboring town is actually suing my town over one of the sites that we rezoned for inclusionary housing, so
Fascinating.
very much so.
Okay, you can tell us that strays that plays along as well.
Hopefully I tell you how we won the case.
There we go.
We'll wait until it's over.
All right. So moving on then to the 2021 master plan re-exam discussion. So, just to be clear on this, we do a re-examination every 10 years. The last re-examination was 2021. We are not doing a re-examination this year. This is the halfway point, and we're looking at the goals and items that were, not goals,
It's a to-do list.
to-do list.
Or recommendations.
Recommendations, that's the word I'm looking for. From the 2021 re-exam, and saying what we've gotten done, what we still need to do, and what we want to prioritize moving forward. Our next re-exam will be in 2031. So hopefully everybody did their homework. I do appreciate the extraction of the pages with just the recommendations in it. Because reading through the entire master plan is exciting reading, but it does take a little while. And I'm actually really curious to know what people's thoughts are tonight, because we've got actually quite a few people on the board now that were not on the board in 2021 when we did the last re-exam. Darlene, do you want to walk us through really briefly all the wonderful things we already got done?
Ooh, it's nice to say there are some things that are done.
Yeah, I was having fun writing done and putting check marks
Right?
on things. I was enjoying that.
And so what is important, and Randy, you bring up a good point. So when we do the 2031 re-exam, or if you choose to do it sooner, you can. You don't have to wait full 10 years. I will actually, whoever your planner is, whoever is, the fortunate planner at that time, will have to say in 2021, the planning board had this whole list of items, and the planner will have to write whether or not we achieved those items or not. And so every re-exam has to first go back and look at the prior re-exam to see what was in it, and did you actually achieve all the tasks that were listed. You're not penalized if you didn't, because sometimes things change over time, and what was a priority or a goal is no longer a priority or goal for whatever reason.
Which is why we have re-examinations.
Right, yes, and also land use is not stagnant. So the starting at the bottom of page 42, the new ordinance recommendations, unless council has done something that I'm not aware of, we have not tackled any of those items.
Oh, no, we removed the R6 zone.
Oh, wait, I'm at the bottom of page 42.
Right, oh, okay. Where it
Starting
says
there.
the sidewalk ordinance must be revised to support the borough's historic character.
Yeah, I saw that one, and I have some thoughts on that, but,
Well, it doesn't have to be a priority, or if you changed your mind.
well, I think the problem with it is.
Oh,
Oh,
ran
our
into
new,
this-
our new project?
I stapled my pages.
in Harrison Street is that I think a lot of folks by the historical charm and this and that would mean paver-based patio or sidewalks and things of that nature. They're not legal at those intersections anymore. They create challenges for us. So as we go for replacement, they're not looking us to put in-kind pavers again. It's pull it out, pour concrete, put one of those sticky things on there with the grip.
ADA compliant.
For ADA compliance, so, I think that's, I think. When they initially, all these pavers went in, it was one for shade trees and being able to adapt over time, but it was also for a historic charm look, but that's not necessarily up to code. With ADA.
Right, and
And sorry, Darlene, my pages were out of order, so I was skipping forward.
it's okay. So what we have accomplished on page 43, under general, we have, and this was a major milestone, was codifying the land use ordinance. That was a bear. And I'm so happy that we were able to do it. The 3 zoning map recommendations underneath general, those have also been done, when we updated the zoning map a couple of years ago. And as far as I know, those are the only items that we have accomplished so far.
Well,
We do have minimum property maintenance standards now too.
So we should do that. I'll see, so it's not in zoning, so I would know that.
Yeah, we did take action on that as well.
And we think we removed the interblock public parking plan.
When we codified, did we do that?
I believe so, because I couldn't find it when I searched the E code, section 306. 306 is just held aside as a,
Oh, like a reserve?
reserved.
And then in terms of bullet 3 on page 43, in terms of rain gardens, swales, and I mean, we've updated all our stormwater management, so I don't know. I capture that in that bullet, but there was a lot of effort that went into that.
Right, well, and I think with that one in particular, because DEP's regulations keep evolving,
Mhm.
it's a little difficult for us. I think we have to tread carefully on making any other changes, because we don't want to conflict with what you're required for your.
We're
what is
now
that? Tier A or you?
tier A,
A.
we're a tier A community now.
So we
But
don't
isn't
want
everybody
you.
A now?
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what we were B before.
Yeah.
Now we're an A.
So with that one in particular, I would just want to be really cautious that we don't do anything to affect
Okay.
the stormwater regulations that you were mandated
Mhm.
to adopt. And I will be honest, that is, stormwater is not my world. I would yield to Bob Cleric
Yeah.
on something
Yeah.
like that.
There was something else we've gotten done. I think we did remove the R6 zone in the zoning map.
Yeah, for sure.
That was done, so that was at the top of page 44.
Did we do anything with the sign stuff? On section 302? Didn't we do that? Didn't we?
302, yeah, we
Didn't we
did.
do that?
Um,
We fixed that.
No, but we didn't fix that.
That, I know we discussed it.
We didn't fix that, so we missed that one, I believe. I need to double check that, but I don't think that
I remember
we
we
did.
discussed it, but I don't remember.
We did, but I think it was after we were almost done and we all just sort of sighed and slumped our shoulders. But I'm not sure that we did that. I have to double check that one.
And what about, I saw on page 45, the lighting? And then the lumens.
So the lighting is in two different parts of the ordinance.
Okay,
So we fixed it in the sign
Yeah.
ordinance, but we
That's-
didn't fix it under lighting in the general ordinance.
okay, because I
So-
remember this just coming up recently.
Yeah.
Right, so what we can do there, I think, I actually marked mine as things that were easy and difficult and
Mhm.
expensive to do.
Mhm.
And I think that one would be a relatively easy thing for us to do because we could get the same lighting committee together and did the sign committee,
Mhm.
redoing the sign ordinance and have them look at the lighting section, which is a different section, and take the same lighting wording. Not necessarily the same standards, because this is slightly different, but just use the same lighting wording so that we can have more proper terminology
Mhm.
for the year 2026, as opposed to wattage, which is a little bit of a old way to look at lights. So I think that is low hanging fruit. I think
Yeah.
that would be easy to do.
And the ban on bamboo underneath, if you want to do that, that's.
I think that would be very
Easy enough.
easy to do.
Mhm.
Also, one of the things that we have talked about quite a bit that would require some one which I think would be more difficult than the other, but we've talked about the rooftop solar.
Mhm.
We have rooftop solar in Frenchtown.
Mhm.
Right now, our ordinance is entirely silent on that.
Yeah,
I am sure there are municipalities that already have ordinances on rooftop solar. So this wouldn't be a heavy lift by our planner to find an ordinance that we could look at,
Mhm.
and consider adopting.
yeah, I mean, they're all over town in all different areas of the
Right.
town, so.
So what would the ordinance be? Encouraging, limiting,
Allowing.
allowing? So we don't allow now? If people
If
just
we-
put it up?
It's, no, technically, no, we do not allow it, even though we have approved it in certain applications that have come before us. It is not, because we don't specifically allow it, it is prohibited.
Is that right? If you don't allow it, it's prohibited.
That's interesting, because homeowners have been approved across the borough, going through the construction
Yeah.
office, I mean, they've got received permits to put solar in.
Right, so that's,
It's,
Not to mention it's on a public works building.
yeah, so basically,
You can do whatever you want.
so I think, I assume that the construction officials probably figure it's probably allowed in Frenchtown, just sign off on it without, yeah,
It seems to be
cause it's all across the
kind
borough.
of silly that it's not allowed.
Yeah,
It is, and we
Yeah.
just, it's just,
Matter of changing.
and here's Ted, he forgot we had
I'm
a,
so sorry, my grandmother's cat passed away.
oh dear, oh dear. All right, well, you didn't miss a great deal. But we're up to arguing, discussing, priorities in the master plan. Actually, we're not arguing. I would like to look at the wind one. I know this has come up before. That's a heavier lift. Because wind,
Sound.
yeah, it's sound.
Sound.
You know, because we went around that some time ago and there were some people that really objected to the idea of the sound. Yeah, Ted?
There are a number of different wind technologies, like this is something that is still being developed. And so like the classic three-bladed things that you see all over
They
the
go, boom, boom, boom. Yes.
If we're going to do something about this, we should try and be careful about not banning broad categories.
Right, I think we need to look at what is available and maybe, you know, but I think that's we'd have to go into a deep dive on and maybe have it wind up being
Regulate with the decibel.
right, regulated with, you know, height, we have to height, viewscape, decibels, you know, I think that's gonna be more complicated, but I think that's an important one.
Setbacks, it's all over
Setback.
towns when they allow them, it has essentially a fall zone. So that if it falls for whatever reason, it doesn't crash onto the neighbor's property.
Sorry, I'm just smiling because I was discussing someone who was concerned a tree was gonna fall on their property that was like half a mile away today. It was just like, they don't do that. Unless they fly, you know,
They ants.
not that I'm aware of. Another thing we've been kicking down the road for a very long time. Is the short-term rental.
yeah. I don't know how to handle that.
And now that we have a rental property register in the borough. And I did not take a hard look at this. Does that specify long-term rentals or does it just say rentals?
I think it just says rentals. I don't think it says anything about Airbnbs.
I have to ask Albert for an interpretation on
Yeah, but I think, and I know there are some municipalities who have now attempted to address this because nobody wanted to be first in line to
Yeah.
address that.
that. It's really a difficult
It
situation.
is a difficult situation.
A very good point of reference would be Lambertville,
Mm-hmm.
had enacted a, short-term rental ordinance, back in 2023.
And how's that going?
Pretty well,
Good.
as far as I know.
Well, you said they'd enacted it and then I was waiting for sort of a shoe to drop and then.
No, I mean, it's, similar process of obtaining a, registration, and a permit through,
Yeah.
paying a proper fee, but they delineate between, short-term rentals and longer-term rentals.
Just so you know, there are 5 active listings on Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yes, we're aware. Only 5.
I mean, I picked May, so I don't know if there's, I go and shoot.
Maybe try and do some additional during the World Cup too, and that's happening across the state, and towns are rushing to adopt ordinances because.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, hadn't thought about that.
influx of travelers during the tournament.
It's a good point. So. I know I said I wanted to hear from everybody else, but I'm talking too much. So I had looked at almost everything on page 44 that we haven't already done as all being pretty easy to do. These were all, the bulk table doesn't have a footnote yet. Under section 203. We're gonna check the lights. We talked about doing the lighting. Fixing the directional sign. You pointed out about, back in 2021, about the seating, sorry, the parking ratios that are outdated. You know, I mean, most of the things on this page just don't seem like a heavy lift to me. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, looking at Darlene, because she's very good at identifying heavy lifts.
On page 24. No. Nothing here is a heavy lift.
You know, this looks like these are things that we should be able to get through reasonably quickly.
Mhm.
I think, you know, a lot of our time has been taken up in recent years dealing with affordable housing, for example, over and over and over again. And since we're about to cross that finish line for a little bit, you know, maybe we can get some of these things, but that whole list to me looked like low hanging fruit that we could knock out without too much stress.
How does it, so this will start with planning board then, Darlene, or do you want the council to move, like, let's say on bamboo and solar?
Well, so our goal was to try to get consensus here
Okay,
and then. I guess
And
send
make
those
recommendations.
recommendations to the
Okay.
council,
okay,
because I have to admit, if the council's not on board, well, it doesn't matter what
Yeah.
we think.
Yeah,
But I agree with
Like I-
Randy that it would be nice to move some of these things along. Especially, you know, for example, we didn't touch on 307, the buffer areas, but if
Yes.
anyone redevelops. You know, here in the village center, and they're mandated to do that. Buffer, many of these properties don't have 10 feet to spare.
well, and we had this come up. We had this come up on an application and then they had to go for a variance
Yes.
on it.
Mhm.
Because they'd never had a 10-foot buffer. They'd had a fence and then the building burned down and they rebuilt it and they still didn't have a 10-foot buffer. They had a fence, you know, so I think that's, you know, many of these are very logical things that I think it's probably going to be reasonably easy to reach consensus with the planning board, and maybe what we do is the very, very easy ones. We might be able to simply have a list of items, say, at next month's planning board meeting, you know, bamboo, a few of these other things, and just make a list of recommendations. We can discuss each one very briefly, make a list of recommendations, send them to council.
yeah, my thought would be, it'd probably be good to like list them as like 1, 2, and 3, one real easy, that we can probably get those through at council.
Yes.
Kind of an intermediate and then a long term, like I can tell you the Airbnb.
Oh, yeah,
Having gone through like just.
No, I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the stuff on this
Okay,
page,
'cause
the easy.
so that was,
Yeah.
that took us 18 months to get through.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the real easy stuff.
Okay,
And then, you know, the Airbnb. I think the solar will be relatively easy for us.
yeah,
to
that
do,
would be easy.
But the wind is gonna be, it's probably gonna take us a while to get
Mhm.
something together for that. Certainly the Airbnb, I think that's in my difficult category.
Is that also taking into account the priority for amending the regulations for flood hazard areas? Because the NJDEP had just released new guidance that I believe that some, maybe not all municipalities, but those that aren't in compliance with those new regulations would have to adopt
Are those
amendments.
the real regulations?
Yeah,
That acronym?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Okay.
they just had a hearing on it today in German.
Well, I would defer to Mr. Burr, the
Yeah,
borough engineer on that,
Okay.
on what if anything we have to do.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And obviously the bulk of the heavy lifting would go through Van Cleef's office. In terms of drafting the ordinance
Oh,
and getting it before.
well, but it depends on whether the ordinance comes from council, which would be Burr's office, or it comes from us, which would be Van Cleef's office.
I think Paul Sturman's in your office is the guru of stormwater, right?
Well, he's not in my office anymore.
Well, I know he's. Florida.
Nice, it's a nice tan,
He's
yeah.
mobile.
The mobile office.
But every time we've had stormwater,
he's showed up.
he's at least advised from Florida now. The There's new home.
So do we have to amend the ordinance? I mean, you have to comply with New Jersey DEP. So even if we don't amend ours, you still have to
You still
comply.
apply,
I mean, so you have no way around that,
right?
so.
And it doesn't sound like it's, I mean, are we just going to, is our ordinance just gonna be basically saying
Yes,
adopt?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, you don't usually get to,
You don't get to
Play around.
It's
You
more
don't
so
get
automatic than.
Absolutely.
yeah, it'll probably be an automatic.
So again, that will not be a heavy lift,
It'll be probably across.
They should have
all
a
the towns.
template.
because the state's gonna hand it to
Yeah.
us and say,
They should.
thou shalt adopt this.
Yeah.
So I guess that's on our low-hanging fruit list as well. And those are, the acronym is REAL. Um. Let me ask you a question, Ted. Would it be appropriate for me to, outside, well, I mean, we could do it right now, I suppose, but would it be appropriate for me outside of this meeting to make a list of the things that we identified as easy and just circulate them to the planning board without any comment coming back from the planning board saying, these are the ones we're going to look at next month?
I would circulate it to the professionals and to Sam, to be added, and Sam could issue that same correspondence from you to the rest of the planning board.
Okay,
And Randy, just so you know, the full acronym for the regulations is NJ-PACT Real, PACT-REAL.
yeah, I was gonna have to Google that, thank you. All right, so that does leave some stuff out, and as I said, I've talked way too much. What are, some future master plan elements, the stormwater management plan, the traffic circulation plan element, sustainability element, etc. What do other people have to say about all this?
Data centers, you wanna address that at all?
Where would one even go?
Lower Sixth and Seventh Street.
Yeah, I guess in that old warehouse.
Allowed in that floodplain.
I,
If the road is flooded, they can still.
just residential's a challenge if you don't have dry access. I don't think they speak to,
They couldn't go there.
okay,
Well, because we would not be allowed to grant them a use variance to go there. Because
Okay.
because
Down
I
the flood
read,
zone.
well, no, because you're talking about our affordable housing zones,
Mhm.
properties. We are not allowed to grant a D1 use variance because we've zoned them for affordable housing.
under these new flood hazard rules. We might have some challenges.
We get our final compliance certification first.
Sure. But it is a real issue.
Oh, I don't disagree with you.
Do you have the electrical infrastructure to keep up with that?
No.
I was
No.
gonna say, that's
What-
like,
There's pocket ones that are being created now, so we're kind of like, everyone thinks of, there are issues with the grid and stuff, but I am aware of some of these AI data centers now, they build their own power
Yeah.
support on site,
Would the
Now-
goal be to allow this or to prevent it?
prevent it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
The Warren County Planning Board, I know, has issued a sample template. I don't know if the Hunterdon County Planning Board has done. So, but, I mean, it would just be a matter of taking what Hunterdon, or the Warren County Planning Board has given and just,
I mean, it might not even be a viable use, but there's gonna be challenges post when all these new flood hazard rules go in. And all these sites that people were thinking of redevelopment for housing and other things now become non-viable. And folks that hold this real estate are gonna get desperate to find people to buy them out.
I suppose, they wouldn't be able to put any new electrical equipment on the first floor below the flood zone. Because that would require a variance, just like someone who wants to put a generator next to their house on River Road, because we've done that before, so they wouldn't be able to put anything on that, below whatever what's the new flood level, do we know? It was 131 with the new real.
it's up 4 feet is what I've heard.
Oh, so it's probably
Yeah.
135,
I've heard it's up 4.
okay.
And there's a lot
That's
of,
the-
evidently, there's challenges in
Yeah.
the court system with that. but
Yeah.
Sorry, what did you
trouble-
say, Jacob?
I know that's the rule down the shore. I don't know if it's the same in the Delaware Valley.
I just asked somebody that and I can't remember what they said.
Yeah, that's for
Yeah, my in-laws
coastal
have to deal with
flood.
that with
prone
their
areas.
expansion on their house down in Ocean County.
Yeah,
And you
They
can
roll
do
down
nothing,
like a
just if you wanted to do a ban on it.
I did
I don't
ask
see
that.
why it's
and
I think it would be proactive for
Yeah.
the borough
As in
to
like
adopt that
Frenchtown.
ordinance, namely because they can, data centers can take all different shapes and sizes nowadays.
They're very.
You're not talking about a 50,000 square foot facility. You could run a data center out of a traditional commercial property that is loaded with server racks and things like that too. It doesn't have the same kind of electrical requirements and footprints, but it's still something that takes away resources.
Mhm.
And drives up utility rates,
Right.
which are already high enough.
I think some of the stuff in our future master plan elements, the stormwater management plan, the traffic circulation plan element, and the sustainability element, all of which I think are important items, but I also think that they're all ones that would probably be a good idea for us to find some grant money to help us. And we just don't have spare cash
Mhm.
lying around for that. So I think, I had them L for large. Small, medium, and large, that those are things that, we may yet get to before the next re-exam. But I think, maybe it would be wise for us to prioritize them 1, 2, and 3, or at least just get a 1 there, to think about who we might try to find grant money for first. And I did not prioritize them. I just want to know what other people thought, but we can't do any of those without cash. And we do not have money at the moment to pay for any of those. So what do you think that the council would like to see for stormwater, traffic circulation, or sustainability, Brad?
Well, stormwater, we're gonna have to do.
So that would be top priority.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
It looks like sustainability might partially cover, or at least provide some stormwater.
yeah, it's sort of linked in, isn't it? In some cases.
Mhm.
Oh my God, we've been talking about a traffic circulation plan element since 2009.
Mm.
I was in high school.
I wasn't. Well,
speaking of circulation, is there any opportunity for parking over by Kathy's? Public parking, Frenchtown parking, any kind of parking?
official,
Any kind of parking?
No,
No.
we tried reaching a deal with the current property owner.
And no go?
He's changed his mind a few times.
Okay,
He's
And
actually now kind of recirculating his
Yes.
plan to
Yeah.
redevelop that property.
which plan?
It's a new one.
Yeah,
And that this board hasn't seen yet.
yeah, so.
But
we
he's
did try.
circulating it through the community?
I have.
Construction.
yeah, that would just be
It
so
would be
sweet.
wonderful. The
His
council
property
actually,
and across the street, sorry, that's right, and across the street also, both of them.
the council had offered a deal, spent a decent amount of money on engineering. There's supposed to be a co-application to this board as part of that.
Mhm.
Because there's gonna be redevelopment on the side where Napoli's and the hardware is. And then on the side where the general store is. That was gonna stay as is, municipal parking lot, reserved parking for, Kathy's General Store for that complex as well as across the street. So there'd be no issues with existing parking for everyone that was there. We even went as far as to who was plowing. We had an agreement and then, we received an email that they were no longer interested in the deal.
Is it the same owner for those two structures?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know that.
so.
Okay,
Yes, and he's been before us.
And the last correspondence we received was that, the existing owner was thinking about operating his own parking lot there now, so that's where we left off at.
I see.
His plan includes a parking garage, so.
Oh, okay, so it's a very different plan now, yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Creative.
Okay,
That's, I won't.
so
Where's everybody going? To the library, downstairs. Yeah.
the, is that where originally the, council was hoping to get some electric charging stations in as well?
Yeah, we actually had a plan with it. I think it was like about 50 parking spots that would have been there, nicely marked, ADA compliant
With electric charging,
with electric charging stations.
okay,
And all of that is gone out the window.
okay, well, good to know.
Some other minor points that are really minor is under the river, riverfront corridor. It seems like this was a big problem when we moved here 35, 37 years ago, where people were dumping at the river all the time. And then, we had the Boy Scouts clean up, we've had, which Randy, you were a part of, obviously, and many other cleanups maybe still going on, but it seems like it's coming back a little bit. Now, I've heard somebody say without any consequence or any real knowledge that it might be because it's harder to bring things to the municipal lot. So people are starting to dump again. And I was wondering if there's an easy way, not an easy way, but a way to make an ordinance where there is a fine, there is posted. Because it's a shame, it's not a dumping ground.
But are they dumping on the state park property?
Yeah. And again, it's not like it used to be. It used to be
Yeah,
brick,
no, it used to be.
brick and
It is,
concrete.
it is enforceable through DNR rules. It seems that, it's hard to catch the violators in the act, but yeah, there has been an uptick in it. The Environmental Commission has flagged on a couple occasions.
Okay,
And, like, for instance, somebody chopped, there was a couple trees that got knocked down at night. And then, but there is a problem with it. We've been trying to,
yeah.
And so
It's
we-
not easy, Greg.
Yeah.
I mean, we cleaned it up with the Boy Scouts for years.
yeah,
Yeah.
but there has been an uptick.
Do we have jurisdiction to fine on that land, or is that up to state parks?
The state, well, that's a good Chris question. I think the state rangers, the rangers can
Right.
enforce. I don't. we don't-
I've only seen rangers down here
Yeah,
3 times to get moved.
You know,
Say
they-
that again.
We kick it back to them and it's on their property. So
Okay.
The jurisdiction.
It's because when you talk about the river corridor, the whole corridor is a park,
yep.
Yes,
so it's,
We're gonna be, I think, bringing in a dumpster soon at DPW to take in yard waste. That's an allowable use under our upgraded stormwater rules. It just becomes costly, but we're gonna chip and go into dumpsters. I think that's what's gonna happen.
I think there's one out there now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a big one out there.
So that's kind of the short-term plan, to at least provide some relief. Cause I know when people don't have a place to get rid of trash, they make up places.
they do.
So,
Um,
we also, have challenges with people coming from across the river and disposing as well. Most of that's household trash in our downtown bins
yes,
What, they just come across.
with
throw
our
out their
household
trash and go
garbage and
back?
put in ours and go back. Cause they don't have municipal trash service over there.
Wild.
I know there's been a problem at times, at
Yeah.
some of the business trash
Ooh.
bins in town,
Mhm.
dumpsters, where people come in and, get a pizza and get rid of their trash for the week at the same time,
The police department can set up trail cams, so I mean, it's very hard to enforce through a trail cam. You have to see the person, see the plate, I be able to ID the person. But it's for a habitual problem, it's a possibility anyway, so.
It might be somewhat of a deterrent to if somebody, if you're on camera, even if, it's
But
not a great
fine,
camera.
if this is being monitored by the police for illegal dumping, might be a disincentive to some to.
yeah, maybe signs that say there are cameras, we don't have to put the cameras on. Wait, I'm broadcasting, aren't I? But that might be, it's sort of like.
This
the-
area is under 24/7 surveillance.
It's sort of like, the police cars with with the dummy in it, you know, it'll.
That's offensive.
Mannequins, there we go, better phrase,
No one in particular.
goodness.
I won't say.
Um,
thank you.
Was there a sense, I don't know if they did it last summer, but I know, a couple summers ago, I think it was the Environmental Commission had, some setups on the weekends during the summer, trying to talk to folks who came to the borough about keeping the river clean, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They
River
still,
ambassador.
it was River Ambassadors, there we go. Is that still a thing going on?
I don't know.
Okay, because I had the sense that was, I think that was rolled out during the peak of COVID when we had so many people coming to the borough suddenly that didn't really understand about how to behave in the outdoors, forgetting to leave no trace, just leave no garbage would have been helpful. But hopefully with the new dumpster, hopefully that will help. And maybe that would be some information that we could get out in the Frenchtown Sun
Mhm,
and let the borough residents be more aware
mhm.
about that.
I think Kurt did update for the second edition, like the hours and the days. I
Oh,
think
good.
Gina-
Good. Good. All right, so what I'm hearing, and again, I've talked too much and I apologize for that. I'm hearing that for future master plan elements, we're gonna prioritize stormwater management with number 2 being the sustainability element, but we need to look for grant money to be able to pay for these so that we can move forward on those.
How much does that, just out of curiosity, how much does it cost?
For master plan element,
So it ranges, because think of it as you could get the base model master plan element, or you can get the one with all the bells and whistles and. I mean, some towns can turn something that can be simple into a year-long project. It also depends on, do you have a subcommittee that wants to meet a lot? Does the town want to roll out surveys? So. It could range from I would say a low of probably 15,000 that could go all the way up to 50 if you have, we want to do multiple public outreach meetings or charrettes, or we want you to do an inventory of, various spaces. So it really depends on the nitty gritty details. You can do a basic master plan element for around 15 and check all of the municipal land use boxes.
Got it.
really good question. And then, looking at the rest of the items here. We didn't really discuss the items on page 44 that you pointed out that we hadn't done anything on. But although we've created ordinances to requirement of maintenance, we've had nothing to do with that, the council did that. And that's got the solar panels in it, so I said, I can make a list of, which will be up for debate, but will be more condensed than this, of items for us to start looking at our monthly meetings, and I will circulate that beforehand so that people have some idea what's coming at them. The lighting, making that consistent with the lighting questions that we already did with the sign ordinance. I'll just grab a minute all back and we can, because I think you were on the committee. Was it?
It was Gene.
Was it Jean?
It was
I
Jean.
keep thinking it was you that was on that. Okay, Paul and Jean and I will look at that and we can get that fixed. Fixed. Propose a fix for that. We'll look for a solar ordinance that we can adopt that will make solar allowable in the borough?
Yeah, so I think what I would suggest as part of our low hanging fruit is we allow roof mounted. I know there was also discussion in the document about allowing ground arrays. I think that goes more to. Were you doing long, short, medium? I think that's more of a medium because ground arrays, have setbacks. Then you're talking about height. I don't think they're appropriate in every zone in Frenchtown. Whereas roof is pretty easy, you attach it to your roof, it's gotta be at a certain angle. You can only project so high.
Eileen, is it even possible in any zone in Frenchtown that's not protected green space or
Yeah, there's a couple.
is there?
I mean, so in a commercial area, you could do the car canopies. Not that I think that matches with Frenchtown's character, but many
Yeah.
places do that.
But if there were a parking garage that we're gonna go in, we could suggest that there would be
Yeah.
solar on top of it.
Killing Brad.
Uh,
Kill him.
I know. I'm
Every
not,
time you say parking garage,
I'm
you're-
advocating, not advocating, just saying.
There's also, you can do not, I think the classic array is like they're tilted towards the sun. You can do just vertical solar panels and people make fences out of them sometimes.
Yeah.
And they actually do catch a decent amount of energy, so. Again, in the medium category, I think, a lot
Yeah.
of people would consider that a hideous thing to put in.
So I think, first, roof mounted, easy, then can contemplate the others, the alternative, I think wind is right up there with medium to difficult.
Oh, I think it's difficult.
Yeah,
And short-term rentals is really difficult. And marijuana is already in council's hands. So marijuana, which was on the list, was,
Short-term rental just merely be these 5 people registering with the town and
No.
paying a fee, no? I mean, start with them, mail them the same form.
So
that-
we might not, for example, we might not allow it in every zone. In every residential zone. So some towns, especially because. Let's say I have a 6-bedroom house.
Right.
And I'm renting it.
Hmm.
Well, how many couples are coming? Right now, it may just be, 4 people with 2 cars that
Mhm.
live there. But if now that is being rented out,
So, yeah,
right now, you might not have enough parking on your property. The short-term rental also talks about duration.
Or not more than 31 days.
really.
Right.
yeah.
So we may decide, and we talked about this a couple of years ago, there
We
was
did.
concern about. Because especially, on the numbered streets, everyone is in such close proximity. Do you really want to allow someone to essentially turn their house into a hotel?
Yeah. So these 5 houses throughout the town are already doing this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
so one of the other questions is,
Yeah.
since we now have a rental registry, part of the rental registry, if I'm not mistaken, and I haven't studied the ordinance, this did not come from the planning board, this is something council put together. Which is great, we've needed one for a long time, but I believe part of it is when a tenant moves out and a new tenant moves in, there has to be an inspection,
A lead paint inspection.
right? So if you've got short-term rentals, and you've got, somebody come in,
Yeah.
it's, it just gets complicated very quickly.
Yeah.
So,
Trying to.
and honestly, we've probably been talking about this for, I don't know, 15 years, probably, I don't know.
Well, yeah, because it started with that property on Kingwood Avenue.
Yes,
Yeah.
and every
That's a big
municipality was waiting for some other municipality in the state to figure out how to do this. Because some of the first ones that rolled out, I think were struck down or were sued, they were problematic. So, Frenchtown sort of took the position that we really needed to deal with it, but maybe we would let some municipality with more money figure out how to do that first.
At least hit these people up for some kind of fee.
Theoretically, the registration would lapse, and then at that time, when they go to reapply with this new ordinance in effect,
To
they would have
put a
to apply
fee
under
or a
short-term rental.
some kind of fee on a tax on the nights that they rent it.
Well, that's always been the complaint of folks like, that have like the hotel in town, right? They are competing at a disadvantage because they have to assess an occupancy tax, but when you're an Airbnb, you have no occupancy
Right.
tax.
Yeah.
And I know that's always been a concern of like the time Widow McCray, who's concerned of the National Hotel, et cetera. With Airbnbs.
And there was,
I'll be curious to see what Lambertville did with that.
there was also an Airbnb for a while that was also serving breakfast,
Yeah.
which means you also really need to be, if you're serving breakfast to people there, then you need to, the health department should be involved. You can't just,
Well, that's the one that ended up in Construction Board of Appeals and the
Yeah.
whole thing about it.
so,
On the other hand, for some folks who are on a fixed income or whatever, like it can be a really helpful way to
yeah,
get a little bit of additional money and actually be able to maintain their place in Frenchtown. So it is, I think it is a complicated thing with pros and cons on both sides. And people can come and visit and get a certain amount of.
Oh, yeah, I'm all for the Airbnb, but it just talking about. A fee or.
Should have their own set of rules.
Registering them or whatever,
Yeah.
that the town knows that they're here.
yeah.
It's helpful for emergency responders, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you could have a house that you think is. Not, maybe it's getting much more impact than you realize, and you know, so you just realize, okay, we have X amount of. Airbnbs in our town, we have this amount of tourism, okay, you know, just for staffing purposes, because we have like a joint rescue squad. Other towns, so they struggle as it is to keep all their rigs staffed. So.
I'll forward Lambertville's short-term rental
Okay.
ordinance to Sam to distribute to the rest of the board members, just to get a sense. And digest it before next month's meeting, so it could be a topic of discussion and ultimately a recommendation to Borough Council.
Yeah, that one may take several months of contemplation and discussion.
For sure.
But yes, go ahead, let's get that
Mm-hmm.
one, get that one rolling, particularly since Lambertville did us the favor of
Yeah, I mean, that's great.
of having one that hasn't been challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, there's always time. So I think we've got a reasonably good plan to move forward unless somebody, we will still quibble slightly, I'm sure, about which of the low-hanging fruits to hit first, but I don't think most of them are not terribly complicated, and I think we can, maybe get them done over several months or certainly the rest of the year. Assuming that we don't have tons of other business. Obviously, if we have applications that come before us for whatever, they will come first on the agenda. This will not be bumping applications off the agenda. Does that make sense to everybody?
So Ray,
Yes, Chris.
what needs to be done with the stormwater management plan? Because we have a plan. We adopted a plan, I think in February maybe of this year
Yeah.
or somewhat. That, adheres to the Tier A stipulations. So what do we need to do here?
Isn't there like a new, and maybe I'm wrong, I thought we had to go around that again in part because of the new stormwater rules that came from the state and the new flood rules.
I recently got an email from a county planning board saying we have to revise all of our stormwater stuff, and I did send it over to Bill Burr, and I have not heard anything yet.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking about, and I didn't have quite the right language for it, but yes.
Because the rules that came out when?
Earlier this year.
Yeah, in January 20th.
The stormwater management plan seems to be an endless treadmill. It's a little bit like affordable housing.
Okay.
And I get that, despite the fact that we've now been in drought for 2 years.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the county and the state at large
Yeah.
stormwater rules very, very seriously after we had several years of really intense flash storms and flash floods, including loss of life and loss of property. So I think the state and the county and municipalities took that very, very seriously. So despite the fact that, I would pay good money to actually get a decent rainstorm anytime in the near future. It would be nice. But
But I think they used a very broad brush with this.
they do.
And it's gonna be expensive,
Yes.
to adhere to all this stuff, so.
Yes. Yes, I think that's part of the, putting us all in tier A sample.
Yeah, I mean, that was a real
Surprise.
big challenge for us from not only the paperwork standpoint, but just the cost, like. all of a sudden not being able to take residential, yard waste and chip it and do all the things we did, make mulch with it, that was a big impact to our community.
And why exactly did they decide we couldn't do that?
Because we don't have a certified facility that has a, you need to have a pad where the stuff is on, and you have to have a way to contain runoff from the debris you're collecting.
So now we have to put it in a dumpster.
Yes,
So you need to take green biodegradable and brown biodegradable items and put them in a dumpster. Where,
because their theory is that people are taking leaves from the streets or whatever, that they've now been cross contaminated with oil and other things, salt. And therefore the runoff from that's going right back into the water system.
so they're going into landfills instead of biodegrading.
Yeah, then we'll now go to a
Brilliant.
certified recycling facility.
Well, certified, if it's a certified recycling facility, they're at least.
But we're burning diesel to get it.
Beg your pardon?
But you're burning diesel to get it.
Well, yes, yes, but at least.
I think it's a poor rule that should be revisited, because it's a problem for many towns that, you know, that provided a service like that in the past, and what's happening is people are dumping again.
Yes,
So, well, maybe I can ask after this meeting.
right, do we have a plan moving forward? Does everybody feel good about this? And feel free to, comment on and insult my list, but not in the email stream. We will discuss that next month. So it's going to be distributed to you, so you can think about it, and then we can discuss it next month. We're not going to be doing business over email. This is just to, give us a list to work from starting next month. All right, excellent. Moving on. The vouchers. I had a question about the voucher list. Because Darlene Green's got 3 question marks.
Oh, no, it should be updated.
Oh, in the packet it's updated?
Yes, I got her bill yesterday or early this morning. I'm so sorry.
Oh, there we go.
My phone.
Got it.
Oh, it's fine. The computer is fine. We got them. They're there. I appreciate
She'll get
it.
Yeah, no, this is, Darlene, this is what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what it,
Well,
Just gonna use her pencil.
you're right.
Alright.
Yeah.
Like-
TBD.
I'll
All right.
approve of the vouchers.
Thank you, Brad. Is there a second? Thank you. If there's no discussion of the vouchers other than what I just did, could I have a vote, please?
Dwyer,
Yes.
Dabrio,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Ready. Yeah. Sansa,
Yes.
Branson,
Yes.
Captain,
Yes.
Sam Licker,
Yes.
Eckel.
Yes. Moving on to correspondence, council reports and other related items.
I want to thank the Environmental Commission for working with the Raritan Headwaters Association for the recent stormwater or stream cleanup this past weekend. I saw Ted and his family there. It was very successful. And folks did a really nice job. There was about 24 people there, which was great. And not just from Frenchtown, they came from Stockton and elsewhere. They did a lot of work in the park. All of our final stuff is in to NJDOT for the Safe Routes to School project at Harrison Street. They have a 3 to 4 month projected review time. We're hoping that'll be sooner. Because
It'd
that
be really nice to do that work during the summer.
it would be, and good to go out to bid. So we'll see how that goes. But that ultimately, once that project is out to bid, approved, then they'll allow us to move forward with resurfacing 7th Street and then 7th. Well, so we have to get the sidewalks upgraded and the 88 ramps installed first.
You're gonna reuse all the pavers?
Yes, their plan is to use the pavers and just reset them, but at the intersections, the pavers are gonna be pulled back.
And
And it'll be
concrete,
concrete.
detectable strips and all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
The only other. Anything else on this one big?
South Washington got delayed.
Yeah, South Washington, Hawk and Lot is delayed.
Was
The
that the one
asphalt,
by DEP?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
yep, the asphalt plants are undergoing some construction work. So there's a delay and a back order on asphalt to go out. So hopefully by the end of the month, the paving will be done, but the mills right now can't. They're on a backlog because of repairs that were needed.
I think they actually pushed it to like the first week of May.
Is that bad now? Oh, that's-
Yeah, rains.
Now, the only hope is that the fuel prices go down a little bit because we were looking at a surcharge.
Yeah.
For asphalt, so. Knock on wood, the oil will go down to $100 a barrel and we won't have to pay an upcharge on the asphalt. Anything else from administrator?
Just the autism walk, which is this weekend, as of now, rain or shine, but I heard grumblings, if it's raining too hard, maybe not, so
Okay.
I think that's 10 o'clock, you know what I'm saying? Right?
I think it's.
And it's Green Fair is also this weekend?
That got pushed to the Sunday. I'm
It
told.
did, okay, because of the weather, okay.
Oh, what was that? They got pushed to
The
something?
Green Fair, that's at Old Frenchtown Field, right?
Sunday.
Sunday, okay.
The only things I have is, age friendly is the age friendly Frenchtown Committee is sort of finishing up its work. The first edition of the Frenchtown Sun, everybody should have gotten that. If you didn't, let me know and I'll get you on the mailing address.
It was
Liz?
delightful.
Thank you. The next edition, well, we're gonna try to get it out closer to the first of the month. We're still working on that. So that's really exciting. We've gotten some really good feedback on that. And the mailing address list is still being tightened up, but if you know anyone who's not getting it, or would like it to be addressed to them as opposed to Frenchtown resident at, let us know, because we were going from the tax files, so anybody who rents in Frenchtown is currently getting to Frenchtown resident as such and such an address. So if you know anybody who would like the actual name on it, let us know. And I believe, and maybe I'm the only one that got this because I'm up on the hill, but I believe we have a scheduled power outage tonight from JCPNL from 11 o'clock until 5 in the morning.
Got that is.
So,
So,
I hope
I haven't
they,
received any calls from JCP. Does that mean that we're not impacted down on
it
Henderson?
may be you're not impacted. It,
got it on Fourth Street.
yeah,
You got
So-
one on Fort?
so they're replacing equipment tonight. So
Yeah.
their scheduled power outage from 11 until 4 or 5 in the morning.
Mhm.
So you might want to, when you go back, you know,
See if there's power.
I'm just gonna change, close a million tabs on my computer and actually shut it down for a change. In the morning, having to, oh, I always leave a ton of things open, just what I do. But I think that's about all I have. Anybody else is there anything from the environmental commission?
I was not at the last EC meeting, but there will be a booth at the Green Fair. Good to know that it's being moved to Sunday.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, so.
I was gonna show up for my shift. on
Yeah.
Confirm that I heard that through the grapevine, so it's not
I don't
official
even
announcement.
know Or not. But no, I'm not,
Right. Very good. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
All right.
All opposed?